Hi, good evening. Welcome to Money9 TV9 Network's multilingual personal finance news service. I'm Karthik Malhotra. Well, we are in March and it's that time of the year when, tax saving becomes a critical point and a critical juncture for all of us. And people often fall prey to wrong advice, wrong investment tips, which may help them save tax but might not be the most prudent investment decisions in the long run. So, helping us understand what are the best tools and the best investments to make, which while they will help you save tax but will also help you generate wealth, is Pankaj Bansal. Pankaj Bansal joins us from Bank Bazaar. Hi Pankaj, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Money9. Help us understand what are the common mistakes people mostly make when they are in this rush scrambling to make last minute investments to save tax.
Hi, hi Karthik, and hi to all the viewers out here. I think March has been a month where all the people, all of us salaried people, look at making our investment declarations and then looking at how do we how do we save tax, right? So the few of the mistakes that I think what generally public makes and even the people like us normally make is that we don't plan the cash flow positions for us. So what we do normally today is that a lot of people in the last month, which is March, before March 31st, they rush around and see what is the tax declaration they have done, what are the cash flow looks like. And suddenly, when I see a salary slip coming in March, you will see my 60% of the tax got deducted just now. So I think this is a big issue that a lot of people face because they don't plan it in advance. That's the most important mistake that we do. Second is when we rush in the last 15, 20 days, March, right? What happens is that we tend to get and tend to take products which are not giving us great returns. That's point number one. Point number two, some of the investments that we make may not be an ideal investment. For example, just to give you a number, if we look at utilizing our limits on ATC, you will look at whether I invest in a PPA, whether I invest in an LIC, whether I invest in a any other product, right? They actually tend to make a lot of mistakes because they are in a hurry to invest. Second is that their cash flow position normally, takes a toll because the last 1.5, 2 months when they don't see the cash flow coming in, so they tend to believe that initially they have declared but they have not invested technically. So that's the problem that a lot of people like us face, and I think I will recommend that make it investment. Don't look at March. Start with April, May. Start investing early in the year itself because all the return for the 11, 12 months should compound it for the next 11 months is an ideal way. I think that's something we should look at it. Second, very important thing, Karthik, is that the benefit of the viewers is that you should look at what investment you need based on your need. It is a pure personal choice that you make. For example, if I don't have a life insurance or a life insurance product for me and my family, I should look at getting it first so that at least you are saved for any kind of eventuality and there's something drastic happens in the family is covered and protected from that perspective. One could be all your liabilities. You should look at what is your total liability base. If assuming your income stops, how will you manage your finance in the next 15, 20 years of your life cycle? So all that aspects we should consider before we make the right decision. And these are long run products. These are products that you keep taking it for 15, 20 years and you keep paying your premiums based on that. So I think that's very important, from a consumer prudence perspective, that you should plan the right product. The product that you are taking should be good enough for your family, because assuming if I'm taking a life insurance product, I should look at what is the return I'm looking at to get on a life insurance if I'm looking at to get it. Second, what is the cover I should invest in a life insurance so that the entire family, based on your entire liability quotient that your family has, is being covered. Third, if I'm not there tomorrow, what is the money that you need financially to make your family secure? That's the third point that you should consider when you are making taking a life insurance product. So all these things put together, you
Since you're
should take
talking
a
about
call.
life insurance products, Pankaj, sorry, let me interrupt you. Since you're talking about life insurance products, does it make sense only for the earning member of the family to have a life insurance cover? Or does it make sense even for the spouse or for others in the family living together to also take a life insurance cover? Will that help me save tax?
So, in case of your spouse also taking it, because the covers that we have is basically from a family perspective. If I invest for even for my spouse or even for my children, if they're not earning members in the family, those are part of the tax rebates that you get currently in the tax regime that we have. So, all that you can take it, but obviously there is a limit around it. You cannot, if you want looking at only from a tax perspective, it should not exceed your 150,000 limit in a year. from a premium pay.
Right. So that is as far as tax goes, which at some level is also an insurance or a security for you and not really an investment, if I may. From an investment standpoint, if I want to park certain funds which are also going to grow and give me wealth at a certain time in the future, then which are the instruments available that can help me save tax?
So there are other instruments apart from insurance. You can look at an ELSS, which is equity linked savings scheme. You can look at an EPF, which is an employee provident fund. So I'll explain one by one all the three. And then even you can look at an FD also from that perspective. If you look at just from a financial planning perspective, to give you a broad perspective on how an EPF works is, so obviously in an EPF, right, there are two different components. One is an employer contribution, one is an employee contribution. Today, the government allows us to invest as good as 10% of your basic, which you can invest in your EPF, which is my own contribution, and it's obviously that is something that you can take. Second that you can look at is ELSS, which is your equity linked savings scheme, but the catch is that for the next 3 years this will you cannot withdraw those funds for the next 3 years. The good news is that whatever data we have seen the last 20 years, right, these ELSS schemes technically for the last 15-20 years have been giving a compounded interest of 12 to 13% for consumers, which is a very good instrument from that perspective. And the tax rate is also, because it's a long term product, it is just 10% right now, so it makes very viable, and it's a good investment option for people from this thing. Second, and the third is PPF, which is like public provident fund. So that is
Right.
something that you can also choose. You have a government rate, you can invest with your limit of again that 150,000 rupees per year, and that is something that can also be taken up as an investment product in the life cycle.
Right, Pankaj. So since you're talking about ELSS, and we'll come to PPF subsequently, since you're talking about ELSS, and if somebody is investing money for the long run, does it give returns commensurate with equity mutual funds? Because if I'm not in a rush to withdraw my money or take the dividend out, then staying invested for 3 years in equities is not a bad proposition.
Absolutely right, Karthik. In fact, for the benefit of the viewers, the returns have been 10 to 15% if you are actually right in the ELS scheme. And is because it's a lock-in. Obviously, you don't withdraw it, so obviously it becomes like a long-term instrument. And the Indian market, equity market, in the last 15 to 20 years, the data clearly articulates saying that we make about 13 to 15% on an average right now if you invest for a long run. So that is something that I would say ELSS is a good bet. Second, the benefit with ELSS, it's a you can even save tax. So if you compound both tax saving plus your investment is as good as something you invest in an equity fund, because you will be save tax on your proposition. The only tax that you will be charged is when you redeem those ELSS after 3 years lock in. At that time, whatever return comes will be charged as per long term capital gain. So I think that's something that I would recommend to the buyers. They can take it as an ELSS and then put it into the investment side.
Right. And you were also talking about PPF or the Public Provident Fund. Now, that also has a cap of 1,50,000 rupees that an individual can invest. So, for somebody who is keen to save even more tax, does it make sense to have another member in the family open a PPF account where another 1,50,000 can be deposited?
So from a tax saving, it's on an individual account level. It is not for a family for four family members, I can invest 1,50,000 here and I can take the rebate. Tax at an individual level is just 1,50,000. But if you look at pure return perspective, 1,50,000, whatever that you invest, you will get about 8.5%, whatever the rate at which the PPF returns are, 7 to 8. Normally it revolves between those numbers. Today, I think it's about 7 point something. And broadly, it's about 7 to 8, 8.5 in 4 years. So I think from that perspective, it makes sense from a long run. And but the catch over there that it's a long term investment. You cannot withdraw it. There are charges around it. So it has to be like a 15-year cycle that you need to look at if you're looking at a PPF. So I would say it's a long run. But if individually I'm doing it, 150,000 on PPF is completely taxable from an individual standpoint.
And what about long-term fixed deposits, the 5-year fixed deposits that also give you tax incentives? How are their rates based, and what is the kind of penalty in case you need to dip into that fund anytime sooner than 5 years?
So basically, what happens, Karan, is that even the FD rates today, I would not recommend to a lot of viewers here, because today the FD rates are not that great, because you are, if you look at today the repo rates in terms of how the market is looking at, it's about 5 to 6, maybe, in that range. So I think that's not very aggressive. If I have to give personally, if I have to be given a choice, I would invest in an ELSS rather than investing in an FD from that perspective, because it's as safe as anything else. And second is the lock-in. In that case, is 5 years. The lock-in here is 3 years. So obviously, if I have a cash flow position that I need to look at after 3 years, it makes sense to do it in ELSS. Second point is whatever that return comes out, right, from the FD rates, maybe there's a tax rebate here, but when you actually get the FD interest into your pocket in 3 to 4 or 5 years from then, it will be taxable. So then it becomes into your tax slab, whatever your tax slab that you are in for that particular year. So I think my view here would be to the viewers is that it will be better that we stick to our ELSS strategy and navigate the funds rather than taking a high tax rate kind of return on FD.
Right. And what about Ulips? Are Ulips on your radar at all as a tax saving instrument? Because there's a lot of criticism also around Ulips, and a lot of people seem to have invested in Ulips and haven't come out smiling and smelling of roses. So, are you in for Ulips as an investment tool?
So, Karthik, given a choice, I won't look at ULIP right now. There are three reasons to ULIP. One, the lock-in period for ULIP is 5 years, for example. Two, the big issue with the ULIP is that it's so complicated right from the charges that is being put on. So, for example, you have administration charges, you have the other charges that you put in. So, you're not able to navigate what is my exact investment happening, right? So, ULIP for me becomes very complicated as a product. Again, I am a proposer of rather than taking a ULIP or an FD, I will again go back to my ELSS as a strategy, because it's a very clean one. You clearly know what is my, you know, fund charges, what is my fund management charges. It's a very clearly articulated. It's simple to invest. There are no medicals that I need to go through and all that stuff. So it becomes a very simple product to invest in. And when I am in March, obviously I need speed rather than anything else right now. So rather than taking ULIP, maybe I am not downselling ULIP, but I think it's better that I just take a term plan if I'm to look at an insurance product per se, rather than an investment tool.
Right, Pankaj Bansal, thank you so much. A lot of interesting ideas there for taxpayers who have possibly not made their investments that help them save taxes till now. Well, we still have a couple of days before the financial year ends. So go ahead, make those investments, and ELS is strongly coming out as one of the leading instruments from the Bank Bazaar team. Thank you so much for joining us on Money9. That's a wrap on this Money Masterclass. This is Karthik Malhotra signing off. Goodbye.